Hey everybody, what is up? Welcome back to another episode of Overwatch. I'm your host Ryan, and
let's break it down!
In this series, we will be taking a look at each of the 21 heroes and whoever else comes out in the future. We'll be taking a look at how to play them, how to play with them, and how to play against them. First episode, we're going to be taking a look at Lucio. And just to start off with, I'm going to explain his basic abilities. So his passive is wall ride. By holding jump and towards a wall, you will be able to skate across it. I'll go into some more mechanics about it later, but that's the crux of the ability. Lucio's primary fire is a burst of 4 projectiles. Just note that they do have some travel time. They don't automatically hit the opponent. You have 20 bullets in a clip, 4 per shot. His secondary fire is an area of effect knockback. As you can see, it knocked them both back. Now this is primarily in the front of you. If you go over here, no one's gonna get knocked back. It has a 4-second cooldown, but if we go over here, I can just demonstrate the range. Doesn't hit. We're gonna wait 4 seconds and move up to this yellow line right here. Doesn't hit. I'm gonna move to the center right here. I'm gonna take off the speed boost. That actually hits. So it's a decent, I'd say it's about a medium-sized range. I mean, this is still pretty close, but it's not like super far. Yeah, it's like right about here, you know? So that's his alternate fire. Now, the primary function of Lucio is a support. So how does he support? Well, if you look at the middle of the screen right here, you'll see 2 graphics that get highlighted as I press shift. Now, to the left is the healing buff, and this will heal all allies in range, which is a pretty significant range. I'm not gonna lie, look, we got that guy up there. And if you go to the right, that is a speed boost. So you're gonna get some speed going here, which we can't really demonstrate on our camera, but you guys can understand. We're actually going faster ourselves. So both of these will affect you as well. His second ability is Amp It Up, and when you press E, it increases the effect of the crossfade that you are currently on. So it'll increase your speed boost and it will increase your healing, and it's a really powerful tool. Just note that both of his crossfades require line of sight. We've got 2 people here, and if you look in the center of the screen, right below the crosshair, there's a number, and that'll show how many people you're affecting. I'm actually affecting that guy up there real quick too. But if we go over here, we're gonna affect 1, then he's gonna die, and we affect 0. Now, obviously, this guy respawned real quick, but if you ever look, the number will update kind of slow. So just remember that you get like about a second, probably a little less, of healing once you lose the line of sight. So just remember that. Now his ult. His ult requires line of sight as with the rest of his abilities, and it overheals all of your allies that get affected by 500 health. So I'm gonna drop this real quick. Boom. So he gets that. He did not get that. Okay, so even though he was in range of the ult, because this can hit a relatively decent range, he got it, but he didn't because he was behind this wall. So it heals for 500 health, which is a lot of health. It's overhealed, so I got 500 health means I got 700 health. Now it decays, so you're not going to stay with 700 health for a while. It's going to go down at a relatively quick pace, but that's about that. So now we're gonna go into the tips and tricks and how to really play Lucio. So the ult is really good at countering offensive ults such as D.Va and Reapers. You can just counter the burst with your own ult. Utilizing your crossfade is key. What Lucio's really good at is rushing objectives. Lucio's all about utilizing his crossfades at the right time. Honestly, I'd suggest healing is probably the best to stick with. It constantly keeps your teammates topped off. It gives them a little bit of damage mitigation with the extra health. It's not a huge chunk, but it's a decent amount. You know, something like Tracer, that's actually a lot. That's about a 1/6 of her health, I believe, if I'm doing the math correctly in my head. I think keeping the healing is good. Speed is good if you're trying to like bop into like a capture point or push an objective or run away. It kind of depends, and you really have to consider the circumstances before you really go ahead and stick to one thing. Okay, so I'm gonna just demonstrate some wall riding mechanics, alright? Now if you guys want me to do like a more in-depth guide on like pathings that you can take on each map, I'll do so, but I'm not gonna like exactly explain the entirety of the pathing on every single map in this video, because we'll be here for about like 2 hours, you know? But basically, Lucio can do a whole heck of a lot, right? So, for starters, just to understand, you can't reattach to a wall after you've been on it for a split second. So I'm gonna drop, and I can't get back on it, alright? So if it's a straight path, see, I'm trying really hard, I'm pressing all the buttons, and I'm not actually getting back on. Now, you can jump off of it and hook onto another wall, right? And that's gonna be the main purpose of Lucio. You're gonna bounce, like bounce, 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 and that's where the mobility comes from, you know? Go like this, go like this. Basically, anytime there's a new polygon that you hit that isn't part of the same polygon, you will be able to reattach. So pillars and rounded objects are going to be your friend. You can constantly stay on these, you can constantly reattach to them. There's nothing to worry about that there, you know, right? So you can climb pillars very easily. It takes some practice, and truthfully, I think using the spacebar is probably a little bit harder to use it with. But yeah, just note that you can climb these very easily. Well, I wouldn't say very easily. I mean, it takes some practice, and you know, obviously I'm not making it very well right here, but it's easy enough once you get the hang of it. You know, so like I got up there, and then I can just go like that, and mess up real hard. I'm just trying real hard right here to demonstrate that you can like get up here and stuff. I mean, truthfully, you're not really going to be using these pathings quite a lot. You can like get up to like random places like over here. You know, you can get over here and just like kind of help from up here. You can go over here. Like if there's a huge choke point like right over here and you're not going to be able to get through, if you want, you could probably go up here and go through here, you know, sort of thing. So honestly, with Lucio, using these wall ride hacks, it's sort of, you have to figure it out. Is it worth me spending the time to get up the wall, and if I mess up, it means more time? Or should I just go a regular path? Like, you're coming up here, say they're over here, you could just kind of climb up over here and get around them, you know? Or if they're over here, you could just kind of like bounce around here. You know, his mobility is really, really useful for dodging things. Like, I'll show you like over here. Alright, so you're over here. Actually, you know what? Let's go to the other one. I'll cut there. So, like, you're over here, right? You're at this objective. You're defending this objective. Something that Lucio's good is he can just, like, kind of, like, go over there, jump over here, bounce around. Then you get over here. You can cross this gap really easily. Knock this guy down, you know? You can get over here really quick, provide some support if someone jumped down here and needs some healing. You know, he's really good at being just mobile. You know, and then like say the team's here and you need to contest it, but you obviously can't fight the entire team. You could just bounce around, you know, they're not gonna catch you. They're not gonna catch you if you're good enough, you know? Just keep bouncing, keep it going, you know? You gotta keep the movement going, especially if you're holding a point. If you're holding a point, keep it going, just keep jumping. Like if you jump around this pillar right here, that's like a second where they can't shoot you, right? That's a second. And you go over here, bounce around, come right back in. It's sort of like a tracer technique. You know how Tracer can zip in and out? That's what you're doing. That's what Lucio's really good at. Sticking to something and being a nuisance, right? See, you can just bounce around. And that's really the crux of Lucio wall riding. Like I said, if you want like a more in-depth guide on like pathing and stuff, like, okay, so you are on defense for Temple of Anubis, you spawn over here, you can go out over there or over here, and then I just kind of explain each path and how Lucio can maneuver each path. Let me know. I might actually do that just in general because I just love playing Lucio. So that's something to just look forward to. But for now, we're going to move on to some clips of games while I talk about how to play with Lucio and how to play against Lucio. Okay, so now we're going to move into the portion where I discuss how to play with a Lucio. So not as you as the player, but like there's a Lucio on your team. I'm going to show some clips of games, just in the background for some noise. And yeah. Alright, so when you're playing with a Lucio, make sure you can see him. Yeah, he's got mobility, and for sure he can probably get to where you're standing, but whatever you do, just don't put it on the Lucio, alright? He has a long range on his health boost, and as long as you can basically see him, he will heal you. Back up a little bit if you need to. If you jump into the front lines, Lucio's most likely not gonna follow you. And the reason being is he's kind of frail. And even though he can help out on the front lines, he's better off at healing and shooting from a distance. His knockback is very good and very good to position, and it really does help in a 2v1 scenario. But just be cautious where you position yourself, because his abilities do not go through walls, and you're not going to be able to get healed through that. So just keep that in your mind. So if you're playing with a Lucio, and you're on a map like Ilios, and you have to get to an objective, run with the Lucio, okay? His speed boost plus amp it up will guarantee that you get there to the objective and can set up before the enemy team, as long as they don't have a Lucio of their own. If you're playing with a Lucio, utilize his speed buff. His speed buff is going to be super, super important on helping your team getting to the objective. In the same vein, if you see Lucio start moving towards an objective, if he drops the ult, get ready to fight. His ult just gave you 500 health. You will be able to, as a team, win any fight with that 500 health. Remember that. As long as there's not a counter Lucio ult, you guys will be on a higher playing field than your enemy, okay? Just remember that. He is very, very strong at pressing an advantage. The next thing you want to do is back him up. If you see Lucio on the payload and he's dancing and he's trying to contest it, make sure it doesn't go past overtime, join him. He may be slippery as hell and he may be very, very hard to catch, but he doesn't have much health and he's going to have a hard time doing it for an extended amount of time. So distract the opponents, go in there, shoot them, shoot the heads off. Do whatever you can, because he will be able to get that payload in your possession. So now you may be wondering, how do you beat Lucio? Well, he is a pretty slippery dude. He does have a lot going for him in that sense. So what you really need to know is that you have to take note of where he can come from. Is there a path behind me that he can just kind of shoot out of? Is there a path that he can come from that I wasn't expecting? Just expect where he's coming from, because while his damage is relatively low, he'll be able to get around you and knock you off the cliff. Remember that. Also, just note that if you're using projectiles, Lucio is actually pretty fast and kind of hard to hit. So keep that in mind, that you might have to lead your shots a little bit more, be a little bit more predictive when shooting at a Lucio with, say, like another Lucio. Now, I don't want to say that this game has a lot of hard counters. They're honestly pretty few and far between, and that's for every hero in the game. But that doesn't mean there aren't things that do well against Lucio. If you're having trouble against a Lucio, a few of these options might be good to check out. Pharah's very strong because her area of effect rockets mean you don't really have to aim perfectly to hit him, and it's a lot harder for Lucio to dodge. You've got the knockback as well, which pushes him off of your team, and pushes him away from his team. So it's honestly a pretty good option. McCree's also pretty good with dealing with Lucio, because once he gets off his stun, Lucio can't move, and a quick fan of the hammer will kill him. So that's very good. Another good option is Roadhog. If you can land a hook, you will get him, and your combo's enough to take him out. Genji's also really good against Lucio. Lucio really can't do anything to Genji, and anytime Lucio wants to escape, Genji has the mobility as well to keep up. He can run on walls, he can double jump, he has a dash, so Lucio's not going to get away from a Genji. So Genji's also a good option. Finally, Widowmaker's also a good choice. Her sniper is hit scan, meaning that wherever you shoot, it automatically happens. There's no projectile, so it's a lot easier to hit Lucio with a Widowmaker snipe, and plus the fully charged shots do a lot of damage. So remember, Lucio may be evasive, but his damage is fairly low. His projectiles are kind of hard to land, and even though he has got a lot of wall climbing potential, because he's a support, you're not going to really be seeing him flanking as much. Lucio really can't 1v1 anyone outside of maybe Mercy. I think even Mercy can probably, it's probably a neutral thing. If Mercy lands headshots, she can probably win. And that, my friends, is Lucio in a nutshell. He's a really fun and mobile character to play, and while his damage may not be high, his supportive qualities are very, very good. That said, I'm Ryan, and I hope to see you guys at the next episode.